So do you want to talk a little bit about your family?
Sure. So I made notes from this morning.
From talking with your grandfather.
Yeah. So I found out that he was born in Nashville, but a lot of his siblings were actually born in Kentucky. And then, so I'm trying to figure out whether, I believe they were I'm confused about the order. So I really want to start there with the geography part, because I believe they were in Kentucky, then Gallatin, then Nashville.
Okay.
Or I don't know if they went to Kentucky for work, or did they come to Nashville for work and they're originally from Kentucky? It's just a lot of mystery about location, because he doesn't know, because he was born in Nashville.
Okay, so he was born in Nashville. You said he was a younger?
Yeah, he was a younger.
Siblings. How many siblings did he have?
He had, I believe, where is it? He had 3 sisters.
Okay.
And then 3 brothers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when his parents passed, how old was he, generally speaking, approximately?
He was older.
Older. Okay.
Yeah, older.
All right. So you're trying to figure out the order.
Yes.
All right. So what was his father's name?
Jack Bright.
Jack Bright. So I'm just going to write down Jack Bright. And his mother's name?
It was, where is it? Olivia. And then her maiden name is Rankins. And then Bright.
Okay. I'm glad you mentioned her maiden name, because that's another tip when we're researching your family tree. Women are recorded by their maiden name, because that's the name they came to the world with. And when you use sites, so many of the websites do this, and you start to build your tree, you'll get hints, because they can make associations with records. And if you use the maiden name, they may find records for her before she married. So that's why it's helpful to use the maiden name. So Jack Bright was his father and Olivia was his mom. All right. So given that we want to start with the census, what year are we going to start by looking at? You remember? 1940. 1940. So we can take a look at the 1940 census. So Destiny, you said that one of your questions is to try to figure out the time and when your great-grandparents maybe moved from Kentucky to Gallatin and then into Nashville.
Yes, I believe that's the order.
All right, so we'll see if we can find out. So we want to start with the 1940 census because, again, it's readily available. Start there and let's see if we can work our way backwards. And I mentioned that every year the census has different questions. Well, the 1940 has a question that is not on any other census we have available, where they ask you where you lived 5 years ago. So that might be interesting to see if there's a difference between where they were living at in 1940 versus in 1935. So let's see what we can find. So we're going to just go to the Ancestry.com website, and they have on their website a very easy way to get to the census records because they try to organize records by group. And so they have a whole group just for census records. And then I'm going to pick the 1940 census, which Ancestry makes available for free. There are other sites where it's just always going to be free. So you get several options for searching. So we'll just try putting in your great-grandfather's name. So why don't you put in his name, Frank Bright?
Oh, Frank?
Is that, no, Jack Bright, excuse me. This is why you have to have the pedigree chart to keep it straight. I especially like to use these when helping other people because you know your family, I don't know your family. And one of the options you have is to put where they lived at. So let's put Tennessee.
Okay.
So just right here in the middle, just type Tennessee.
Tennessee.
And it starts to fill in the value for you. So let's just do Jack Bright, Tennessee, USA, 1940 census. Let's see what we end up with. So you want to hit the orange search button. All right. So we get back a list of results and it tries to show you the closest matches first. And there are several Jack Brights listed. Now his wife was Olivia, and it shows you the name and it shows you the spouse, and I don't see any Jacks with Olivia, and I don't see here anyone in Tennessee except for a couple people, but I'm not seeing that either. So let's back up, hit edit your search. And we're going to try taking off Tennessee and do a different combination of information. What if they give you a spouse? So type in Olivia. next to the spouse as the first name. And we'll just put her first name. We don't even have to put the last name. So now we're searching the whole country for Jack Brights with a spouse named Olivia. All right, so we get more results. And all right, again, not seeing anything here right away that looks like a match. Mm-hmm. So that's okay. We can figure out a few things. So I'm just going down the page. I don't see anything here. So let's see. Do you have any idea when Jack Bright passed away?
I have no clue because I know that he didn't really know his father.
He didn't know his father. Okay. What about his mom? Do you know?
I should have wrote that down.
Okay, well, that's okay. Yeah. That's okay. So let's see. So because we don't know there was one resource I did not mention. That is called, I'm thinking about looking for death information. If you don't know when someone passed away, there's a site called the Social Security Death Index. That's really helpful because they have records for millions of people who passed away, and the information has been reported to the Social Security Administration. So when you're looking to see if you can verify when someone passed away, it's a good place to start. So let me see if I can get to that on the Ancestry website. They have so many databases. They have a card catalog. So you can search their card catalog for getting to the right database. So the U.S. Social Security Death Index, it has death information from 1935 to 2014. Wow. So let's try putting in Jack Bright. And we'll put Tennessee as the location, just starting with the idea that perhaps he was living here in Tennessee when he passed away. Okay. So we're getting a list of Jack Brights that have passed away across the country, but we're not seeing anything here in Tennessee. One of the things I can do is force the site to use Tennessee. And so now it's been switched where everybody here has passed away in Tennessee. But there's nothing that says Nashville. All right, so we're getting various areas: Monroe County, Shelby County, Williamson County, because there were a lot of Bright families in Williamson County, as the Fort Negley Descendant Project knows. So that's not a surprise, but I don't see that. So let's look for Olivia. So let's type in Olivia. And because Bright was the name at the time she passed away, we would use Bright instead of her maiden name. All right, so I see an Olivia Bright right there at the beginning. But click on View Record to see what we can learn about her. So what this tells us is Olivia Bright was born in 1909 and she died in 1981. Oh, yes, this is her. Now, you know how I know it's her? Because Ancestry gives you ways you can kind of cheat. Because they have so many records available and you search for someone, they're going to try to show you other records related to that person. So if we look at the suggested list of records, there's a name you might see there, a last name that you might see in that list. Rankins. Now, this is 1940, so somehow it knows she was Rankins, and then there's directories as well. So one of the great resources we have here in Nashville are city directories. At the State Library, they have directories for many subsequent years. So you could also look at city directories and see if you can find your family. But here, let's look. So now we've learned some information about Olivia. Born in 1909, passed away in June 1981. Now let's see. So we have some suggested records, and let's take a look at the 1940 census here for Olivia. Just click on it. All right, so some of the information we're getting from this census records is an age. She's about 32. Her race, Negro, Black. Her birthplace, Tennessee. So that's important. She was born in Tennessee.
That's interesting. It says widowed.
Widowed. So by 1940, her husband has passed away. Usually. Now, it wasn't always the case. Sometimes people would say they lost a spouse, but that's a clue that we can verify, perhaps through other records. It's got the address, so where they were living. All right, and then residence in 1935, same place. So they were in Nashville. She was in Nashville in 1935. But this is a clue that Jack probably passed away before 1940. Now, what's interesting is that her name here is Rankins instead of Bryant. But look, there are kids in the household, and we'll make sure we share the actual census record. But let's actually take up so look at the record. Click on view. So we're actually viewing the page with the census for Olivia Rankins. And if you want to zoom in, you might be able to read things a little bit better, and we can start to understand the information that the census is giving us. So the way the census is structured is it has the head of the household at the top. So we see here Olivia Rankins, and then we see people listed as children. So what are some of the names we see here?
My granddaddy.
Yep, we see him. So his first name has a letter C, actually. Do you know what that might stand for?
That might be his middle name.
His middle name. And that would happen, right? Because sometimes the census, people may have two names and the order might not be correct. So if his first name is Frank and his middle name starts with a C, as we're looking at this example, the census enumerator has put the C first and then his name Frank. So that can happen. There will be inaccuracies. But this looks like it's definitely your family. We even have a cousin in the household.
Yeah.
So that can help you branch out your tree as you start to learn more about the siblings and their children, and the aunts and uncles and their children when you have information like cousins who are listed here. So yeah, here's Olivia. And look, let's talk about some of the other information we see. So it has her as the head of household. It has her sex, female. It has the color or race. So this says NEG for Negro. And it has the age. And so we see the ages of all the kids in the household. It has the state where she was born. So each person tells you what state you were born, Tennessee. Here's the column that tells you where they were living at in 1935. Let's scroll over and look at some of the other fields, because the next set of fields start to give you information about their occupation. So if we scroll over, all right, so we see here occupation, housework for a private family. So she was working in someone's family. And there's another daughter in the house who's a domestic for a private family. So you can get information about what they did for a living. There are many other fields of information here that you can glean for clues. And there are, Ancestry in particular does a good job of highlighting what each field means. But we found your family in 1940. Let's see if I can zoom back over. So yeah, here's your grandfather in 1940, and he is a young one. He is 1. So he was just a baby. Now that's another clue, because if he's 1 and her husband's passed away by 1940, it narrows down the window and maybe when he passed away. So that all these things are clues. So let's back out of this and let's maybe try a different type of record. Another hanging fruit that we talked about are obituaries. So here in Tennessee, we have a great resource available to us for free, the entire archive of the Tennessean newspaper that's available through the Tennessee State Library and Archive. So I want to see if we can find Olivia's, maybe her death notice. So let's take a look and see how we can go there. So to do that, I'm going to go to the State Library's website. It's sos.tn.gov, TSLA, and they have a whole section for history and genealogy. As you can imagine, it's a very popular place if you're working on your family history to go to the State Library and Archives. And when you go to their site, they organize their information by record group. So they have a whole section on newspapers and how you can get to different types of obituaries. The Tennessean is available through the Tennessee Electronic Library. And so once you link out to the Tennessee Electronic Library, they have a section where you can go almost 200 years of the Tennessean that we can search for free as residents of the state of Tennessee or being a student here in the state of Tennessee. So let's look at how we get into here. So we're going to go in the section for 1812 to 2002, and let's just type in your great-grandmother's name. So Olivia. Now I'm curious about the Rankins though, because let's try Olivia Rankins.
Rankins?
And we're searching and see what we can find. All right, so we're getting different things. One of the things you can do is limit it by date. So let's try limiting it to the 1980s because we know that's when she passed away. There's a link here to enter a date range. And so let's update this to 1970. So we do have some results here. Mm-hmm. I don't see anything highlighted because it is going to try to highlight for you where your term mm-hmm. appeared. So it's highlighting all the instances of the word Olivia. It's highlighting all the instances of the word Rankin, but I do not see it here. So let's try Olivia Bright. It's doing its thing. Okay, well, okay, so click up. The first result looks interesting. Yeah. Now it's not dated 1981, it's dated 1983, but let's take a look. So what we're seeing here is a tribute page. Sometimes families would put a notice in the paper honoring the memory of someone who passed away earlier. So let's see, how can we zoom in? But what we're looking at is a tribute that was published in 1983, and it says, can you read it?
Yeah, it says who passed away June 8, 1981.
Yes, but this was published in 1983. Mm-hmm. So it's a tribute to her memory because families would do that. So that's a nice thing to be able to find. Now, I really would love to try and get to
that's funny because that is my mom's cousins underneath there.
That are listed? Mm-hmm. Okay, so her cousins were the ones who published mm-hmm. the tribute? Okay. See, names you recognize, so you know this is your family. So we'll make sure we get you a copy of this too, so you can use that for your for the family tree that you're starting to put together. I do want to see if we can find her obituary though. So we're going to go back, put our name, and then let's just put 1981 and force it to see if we can search 1981. All right. Yes. There it goes. June 11th, 1981. Let's open that up. All right. So many newspapers, they have their listings of obituaries all in the same place.
Oh, there it is.
And so we're looking at the obituary page, and here's her obituary. Mm-hmm. So let's see what it says. So Mrs. Olivia Rankins Bright departed this life June 8th, 1981. It's listed her daughters. Mm-hmm. It's listing her sons, her son-in-laws, her daughter-in-laws, 32 grandchildren, 22 great-grandchildren. You may be one of them. I'm not going to ask you your age, but that you might be counted in there. And it lists friends even. It tells you the funeral home and the cemetery. So where is she buried? Greenwood Cemetery. Mm-hmm. Have you been to Greenwood Cemetery? No. Greenwood Cemetery is a historic African-American cemetery here.
I wrote down a list
of
everyone in the
family. So there are many individuals associated with Fort Negley that are buried in Greenwood. So your great-grandmother is in Greenwood Cemetery. So which leads me, let's go look at Find a Grave and see if we can find if anyone has put her in the Find a Grave database. Let's just go to findagrave.com. All right, so just type her name, Olivia. And it does require a last name, so it's warning you we need the last name. Olivia Bright. All right, let's actually go back because we want to put in a little bit more information. Okay. And then let's put in cemetery location. Okay. Or let's actually put the year, 1981. Okay. And hit search. Okay, so no, she's not in the database yet, but you never know. Taneya might be out there in the cemetery one day taking pictures and come across her. But you could also contact the cemetery and they may be able to tell you where her burial location is, and you could go visit her gravesite. So she is, here in Greenwood Cemetery. So that's a good information to know because, again, it helps you document your family members. Let me see. So I'm really curious still about Jack. So I'm trying to think, what else could we do to look for Jack? So let's go back to Ancestry, because I know for a fact that Ancestry has the database of Tennessee deaths prior to 1958. So I'm going to go back to Ancestry, go to their card catalog, and search for the database of Tennessee death records. And I find it. It's called Tennessee Deaths and Burials Index. So let's type in Jack Bright here. And this covers 1874 to 1955. So let's see if we can find him. So just hit search because this is just Tennessee. All right. Jack is proving elusive. So no, we're not finding him here either.
I wonder if he ever moved to Tennessee.
That could be a possibility. So another thing we could do is work backwards in the census. So let's try the 1930 census. So go back to the Ancestry homepage because we found Olivia in 1940. We know who the kids are. So if you scroll down on the sidebar, let's go to 1930. And let's type in Olivia. And let's go with Bright.
Yeah.
And let's put Tennessee as the state. Because maybe Olivia is easier to find than Jack. Mm-hmm. Okay. No, I'm not seeing her here. Mm-hmm. But we don't have to continue this right now, but you get this idea is we found her in the census, that's great, and it lists the family. We found her obituary in the newspaper, which lists more information about the family and where she's buried. And so the goal is to try to work backwards in time to see if we can identify her. In the 1940 census, there were children listed who were older than 10. So sometimes you can search for those children in 1930, particularly if they have a unique name. So that makes it a little easier to search for them. So those are some general principles that places you can start as you're starting to build your tree. Is that helpful?
Yeah, it's really
And
helpful.
We definitely can give you a list of resources so to tell you exactly where to go to search them. But you'll see how you have to combine information from different places, and then you fill out your pedigree chart, and you've got more information from your grandfather. So that's how you would put all that together.
Thank you.
You're welcome.